I think people drastically underestimate how good the people at the top are. I think they watch them on TV and they see like, oh, this guy's bad. And then they just think that anybody can do it.
Okay, cool. So this next section here, we do this with each one of our guests. We try and get one topic that they feel so passionate about that, you know, they just want to make sure that there's information that, you know, people need to hear. So give me your topic.
My topic. All right. So if you asked anybody who's in baseball, a young pitcher, right? Even parents, this is great for them too. How many do you think it is likely that you or your son or whatever will be a billionaire? And they'll be like, no, that's ridiculous. Why would I ever think that? Right. But then you ask them, okay, do you think it's more likely that they'll be a billionaire or a big leaguer? And they reply with, oh, a big leaguer. Like, of course, you know. But the reality is there's like just over 700 billionaires in the US, and there might be like 500 big league pitchers this year. Now, obviously, we can talk about like the sample that are being pulled from for the billionaires. There's probably more people in that. We could talk about like, okay, maybe the amount of people.
But still, general context of that is pretty damning.
100%. And it's like, this is what I feel very strongly about. If you are not approaching if you have the goal of being a big leaguer and you are not approaching that goal of being a big leaguer like you would approach the goal of being a billionaire, I think you're wasting your time. And that to me I feel so strongly on that. The amount of guys who are like, oh, I want to get drafted, or, oh, I want to play pro ball, or, oh, I want to be as good as I can be, because that's a more PC way of lying to yourself anyways. Sure. It's just like, but you don't actually. And that's okay. But you need to understand and be told that, so then you can make the decision of, okay, is this what I want to do or not? Because if it is what you want to do, then stop putting off going and getting that coach. Stop putting off going and doing the extra work in the gym, or researching this that you want to research, or diving into this area, or applying yourself in these different areas. Like, then if that's what you want to do, understand that it takes the type of tenacity and work ethic that it takes to be a billionaire. And that is ridiculous. So I just feel so strongly about that point.
Yeah, I think it's amazing. And we can cut that number in half, as I've talked to you about before. I thought one of the most amazing stats I've ever heard was the fact that the MLB is 48% foreign.
Yeah.
So, you know, cut the number in half of how many of those people are now actually US born.
100%. Yeah, 100%. I think people drastically underestimate how good the people at the top are. I think they watch them on TV and they see like, oh, this guy's bad. And then they just think that anybody can do it. And I think another thing that I talk a lot about is if I had asked you, hey, how difficult do you think it is to build an iPhone? Like, insert your own ridiculous technology here. Like, oh, that's crazy. It's like, okay, how difficult do you think it is to be a big league pitcher? And they think they're drastically different things, but no, you don't understand the complexities involved in what it is. Like, yeah, being a big leaguer is very simple. Playing the game is very simple. Pitching is very simple. There's three things. You got your stuff, you got your command, you got your plan. That's it. But becoming great in all those areas to the point where you're one of the best on the planet is insane. I mean, you could say the same thing about being a billionaire. It's really simple. All you got to do is make more money than you spend. It's like, okay, that's simple, but actually going and doing it is incredibly difficult,
right,
you know?
Right. And the formulas that need to be solved, the problems that need to be solved.
Absolutely. And we're talking about these little minute details. We talk about stuff, and it's like, okay, under stuff, you've got throw harder. Under throw harder, you've got physical adaptations and mechanics. And under that, you've got like the 2-hour conversation that we had yesterday on how does the pelvis rotate and what is the purpose, and like all these, and we're diving into trying to solve these problems, these tiny little problems that there's thousands of them to try and solve, and it'll take your entire life to do even half of them.
But I think really what's underpinning your urge for, or that topic, is the understanding that every single one of your actions need to be driving in that direction if this is what you actually want to accomplish.
And if it's not what you want to accomplish, that's okay. If you just want to go and you just want to play, I actually think this is where the game is going. You and I have talked about how the game is getting so good that it becomes very obvious that the skills necessary are not attainable by many people. It didn't used to be that. When the average velocity was 88, most people can do that. Most baseball players can train to have an average velocity of 88. Now, when the average velocity is 95, and now you're looking at, okay, well, that's the average velocity for the whole league, for righties and lefties, for starters and relievers. So then what's it for starters? Add a tick, or excuse me, for righty relievers. The most common guy will add a tick, So like your typical person is 95 to 97, which is insane. And most people realize, okay, that seems very unattainable. So as the game continues to go in that direction, there's going to be more and more people who just are like, okay, I just want to play college ball and have a good time and then go start my life. And that's totally fine. But what I think is not okay is lying to yourself about what your goals actually are, because then you just end up wasting time. It's just inefficient. You're not going to be happy that you did that. You're not going to be happy that to make yourself feel better inside and to give yourself a nice little blanket, you essentially told other people that your goal was to be a big leaguer, but your actions didn't match that. You're not going to feel good about that when the time comes that you reap the benefit of doing nothing, because the benefit of doing nothing is nothing.
Unless you formulated this system where now you're just really good at lying to yourself. And then those excuses start to pile into lies. And
that's not good either.
And you start to justify it.
100%. And that's not good either.
Oh, of course not. Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel very strongly about the idea that just have an accurate understanding of what your goal is. And when you really sit down and think about it, and I'm not saying don't make unrealistic goals. Like that's cool too. If you
there is a certain element that you need to lie.
Yeah, and that's okay. But your actions need to match the severity of your goals. If the severity
of your lie.
Sure, absolutely. I can think of right now in my head multiple guys that I know that refer to themselves in the third person consistently, would call themselves by their own name instead of I, and incredible egos, but man, they worked hard. And like, look, I don't want to go around and present myself like that. I'm not suggesting people go around and have this incredible ego, but like their work matched the ego, which is like respectable to some level. Sure. Absolutely. That's just my biggest message is like, understand what your goals actually are. Take some time and think about it. I know thinking is hard and time is hard, but do both of those things. Take some time and actually think about it. It's not going to be something that you're just going to come up with in one sit down. It's going to be a couple of years of thinking about it and analyzing what do you like, what do you not like, things like that. But understand what is the actual goal. Understand how hard is that actual goal and align what you do with how hard that actual goal is. And I think you'll have much better success and much more fulfillment that way than the other way.
Awesome.